Campbell is a proven B plus level fighter, whereas Ryan Garcia has A potential. That's the kind of fight I want to see Ryan Garcia step into in the fall. Welcome to Jabs on DAZN, presented by Contenders. Sergio, my background's been the same since we started this. Have you moved into a new location?
Well, how can I tell you, Chris? Yes, and it's very personal. I'm glad that you brought this up, but I don't want to talk about it. You're not a married man. You wouldn't understand. Just know that quarantine is taking the best out of me. I'm losing the fight, Chris. I'm losing the fight.
All right, we start with Canelo Alvarez, who is searching for an opponent to fight on September 12th. Two new names have been discussed as potential foes over the last few days. Canadian David Lemieux and John Ryder. They joined previously discussed names like Sergey Derevyanchenko and Anthony Durrell. Sergio, who is Canelo's best option to fight in September?
I think at this time, during this quarantine, I think Sergey Derevyanchenko is your best bet. It's a fight that can be made. Derevyanchenko's riding that wave, that momentum from that Gennady Golovkin fight, in a fight that a lot of people felt he won. I mean, it was a close fight. He was one of the first ones to visibly hurt Gennady Golovkin to the body. And they're both the same stature. They're both around the same height, same reach. It's a fight that can be made. Give me Derevyanchenko.
Yeah, I'm with you on Sergey Derevyanchenko. I think it is, if you're looking at a level of tiers of potential opponents, Derevyanchenko is on a significantly higher tier in my mind than any of the other fighters are. I mean, David Lemieux, at one point, he was a pretty impressive contender / champion, but that was like 5 years ago. Since then, he's had problem making weight. He's had trouble with injuries. He can't be relied upon, frankly, for a fight against Canelo in mid-September. Anthony Durrell had a nice run, but he's 36. In his last fight, he was beaten down by David Benavidez. Derevyanchenko, to me, is the answer to a lot of the problems here. And I think Derevyanchenko still wants that fight. Now, there's been a lot of talk about a fight between Derevyanchenko and Jermall Charlo. I've been told that that fight is this close to being signed. They're two PBC-affiliated fighters. They can get that deal done very quickly if Derevyanchenko agrees. But I think Derevyanchenko wants to fight Canelo. So if there's any possible way of sweetening the offer to make it worth Derevyanchenko's while, I think you do it, because I think Derevyanchenko against Canelo is a terrific fight. I think Derevyanchenko ultimately gets knocked out, but I think he is a worthy challenger who's going to be entertaining in the ring.
Sweeten the deal, meaning you got to bring more money to the table, right? Is that what you mean by that? Money solves everything. And I always talk about you in every segment that we do of these shows. Money solves the problem. Derevyanchenko's been cashing in, not only a Golovkin fight and that Jacobs fight, but now he's the man that everybody, what we need, that we want, and he's willing to take this fight during this quarantine in an arena that's not packed. Pay the man, pay the man. That's the one we need.
Moving on, what could be potentially big news for the future of rising star Ryan Garcia? The 21-year-old phenom accepted an interim fight with England's Luke Campbell, which would put him on a path to fighting Devin Haney if he wins. However, Garcia's camp is also the option of fighting Ghana's Emmanuel Tego. Sergio, who should Ryan Garcia fight in his next fight?
When I heard that Ryan Garcia was going to fight Jorge Linares, I was thrilled about that fight. Then I heard he was going to fight Luke Campbell. I was even more excited about that fight. But these are just names being thrown around. And at this point, post-pandemic, when we're not going to have fans in the stands, I don't think neither of those fights work. This is a big fight with a rising superstar, as you said. So let's give him a fight. Let's give him a fight that's going to be a competitive fight. It's going to be a fight like Duno and Fonseca, and that's Tego. Emmanuel Tego from Ghana. I mean, he's an African warrior, and we know that anytime you get these fighters from Ghana, Azumo Nelson, Joshua Clottey, and plenty others, Ike Corte, they come to fight. They're always in good fights. Give me Tego.
Yeah, I mean, I like Tego as a potential opponent. I think Campbell's certainly more of a known commodity. People in the U.S. have seen Campbell fight some classic fights against Hoya Linares. He fought well in defeat against Vasily Lomachenko. He is more of a household name than Tego is. And I think at this point, you're kind of looking for that Ryan Garcia. You want something that will elevate him. I don't dispute that Tego will be a guy that adds to Ryan Garcia's resume. He's a very solid fighter, but Luke Campbell has lost championship-level fights to Hoya Linares. He lost to Vasily Lomachenko. I mean, that's the guy to me that makes the most sense, and I think he's right there on Garcia's level. I think Campbell is a proven B++ level fighter, whereas Ryan Garcia has A potential. That's the kind of fight I want to see Ryan Garcia step into in the fall.
Campbell may be B potential, but he's A+ when it comes to skills. Luke Campbell is a serious threat. He's an Olympic gold medalist. I mean, every time I watch this guy fight, and you named it, he only loses against the best. In a fight against Mendy, he ended up coming back and winning that fight, but he lost against Lomachenko, close fight against Linares. I think that would be a big step up for Ryan Garcia, but not right now. That fight can easily bring 20,000 people, especially across the pond. Not for his next fight. Next fight, give me the go. After that, Luke Campbell it is.
All right, you're giving Luke Campbell a lot of credit. A+ level skills. I mean, Lomachenko has A+ level skills. I mean, come on. And look, at some point, you've got to see Garcia step into big-time fights. If the money's there for Luke Campbell, I say you make Luke Campbell right away. And finally, add Oscar De La Hoya to the list of great fighters considering a comeback. De La Hoya told CBS LA that he's currently in training and could possibly fight at the end of this year or early next year. Sergio, do you want to see Oscar De La Hoya back in the ring?
No, I don't want to see the golden boy back in the ring. He's a successful promoter. He was a 6th division world champion, a 92 gold medalist. What does he have to fight for? Pride? I mean, he has that itch. That's how fighters get hurt. We know how his last fight ended in 2008 with Manny Pacquiao. It ended him retiring on the stool. We don't want it to get any worse for De La Hoya. Legends die hard, and he's a legend. He needs to stay out of the ring. But, Mannix, let me say something. If he does come back, I would like to see him against 2 fighters. A former champion named Sergio Martinez, who's making a comeback, or another Sergio, yours truly.
Gee, you wouldn't just be trying to cash a paycheck there, too. I mean, the 40-something senior circuit of boxing featuring 2 Sergios and an Oscar, hard pass on that one. Hard pass. I don't want to see Oscar De La Hoya back into the mix. I think he should be done. And frankly, I think he should focus on what he's still kind of developing at, and that's being a big-time promoter. Oscar De La Hoya needs to be out there a lot more than he is, not just on social media, but in regular media. He only infrequently pops up on some kind of long-form interviews. You see him primarily at press conferences. He needs to be as involved with promoting his fighters as Bob Arum is, as Eddie Hearn is, as some of these other top-level promoters are. Right now, the only time you hear Oscar De La Hoya and his fighters is when you read about him disagreeing with them or him at odds with them, whether it's Canelo Alvarez or Ryan Garcia. I mean, he has to really lock in on being a promoter. Now, some people might say it'd be fun to see Canelo and Oscar settle their differences in the ring. I'm not one of them. I want to see Oscar better at being a promoter and not focused on fighting.
I agree with you. Stick with promoting. But think about it. The Battle of East LA, baby. De La Hoya, Mora. Hey, Holmes.
Could you be more desperate?